Welcome back to my channel, Chinahan, where I analyze China from a spiritual point of view. As I said previously, there are no political solutions to the spiritual problems of the world, and China in particular. Today's topic is an interesting one. You've probably heard about it. Those people who watch China or pay attention to what's going on here in China or speak Chinese, they're probably aware of this very sensitive and, quite frankly, disturbing topic. A bit of news coming out of Tangshan. Tangshan is a city in Hebei province, which is next to Beijing. Now, when I lived in China, I traveled a lot, and I have traveled to Tangshan a couple times. And one of the things that struck me about the city was the organized criminal activity that was, if you had an eye to see it, was blatant and really not checked. And I took note of that, and that was about it. I know some people from Tangshan, and lo and behold, a few days ago, shocking news comes out of Tangshan. I'll label this Tangshan BBQ restaurant murders. I'll repeat it again. Tangshan BBQ barbecue restaurant murders. Now, let me give you some background information about Tangshan. Tangshan is known for one of the most powerful earthquakes in the 20th century that occurred in China in 1976, which incidentally was the same year that Chairman Mao Zedong died. Coincidence? I don't know. You do the research and you tell me. Anyhow, the Tangshan BBQ restaurant murders are trending on Chinese social media for several reasons. Now, one, I believe that this is an attempt to cover up the relationship between organized crime, the local police, and the local government in Tangshan. What? Here you go again, Chinahan. Well, I get my information from scouring Chinese social media, not regurgitated information into English, and then people will talk about it and give their personal opinion and analysis about it online, on social media. No. I am directly scouring Chinese social media in China and listening and watching the news based on what the locals are saying. I'm not talking about just the media, because the media is also trying to, in a vain attempt, to cover up what has really happened. Now, I'm not going to read a whole bunch of articles and, verbatim tell you what happened. I'm going to try to summarize the key points and takeaways in under 15 minutes. You can go online and basically look up most of the information yourself. If you speak Chinese, then you are in a better position to look at the information and analyze it on your own. But here is the facts. About a week ago, 3 or 4 girls were in a barbecue restaurant uh, in the wee hours of the morning. Now, they were eating, minding their own business, and when I was in China, I used to do the same thing. On the weekend, Friday, Saturday, whatever, you'd go with a couple people, and you would eat Chinese barbecue. It's a cultural thing with northern Chinese people to eat, drink some beer, chat, and hang out. Because at that time in the summer, uh, it's it's kind of hot, so you want to just hang out with your friends and chill. So these girls were minding their business, and some local gangsters came in, and they, one guy in particular saw a girl that I guess he was attracted to, and he made physical contact with her, and she directly brushed off his advances. Him probably being under the influence of illegal substances, I don't know if it was alcohol or drugs or both, he immediately began to physically assault her. And the several guys that he was with began to assault the girls at the table as they tried to defend themselves. Now, mind you, there are several other guys in that barbecue restaurant that witnessed everything that went by. Some people pulled out cell phones and just recorded. Others ran for cover while these girls were literally beaten to death over 10 or 15 minutes, in the course of 10 or 15 minutes. Now, from what I'm reading and seeing and hearing in on Chinese social media, these girls were beaten to death. One was taken upstairs, raped, and thrown out the window to her death. One was run over. I saw that video myself. She was run over by, I think it was an SUV. Now, to summarize, because time is of the essence, I don't want to be too loquacious. I just want to give you the facts, and you can run with them yourself. The police came more than 30 to an hour later. 30 minutes to an hour later, the police showed up on the scene. Now, to my understanding, there was a local police station about 900 meters away from the crime scene. Now, anybody who's ever lived in China for a long amount of time and knows how to move around, they know that things like this happen quite often. And I have so many stories that I could tell you from my years of living and traveling throughout China that could fill a book and make a movie that you'd probably never believe. But then again, I don't want to digress. So eventually, after several calls, I'm sure more than a dozen calls to the police, they show up. By this time, the girls are, some of them probably are dead at the scene or have died on the way to the police station. But here's the disgusting thing. Until now, there's no official report that these girls are deceased. But if they weren't deceased, then obviously there would be evidence, visual eyewitness evidence, that they are still in the land of the living. There is no such evidence of such. Now, there have been Chinese journalists that have gone to the hospital to try to visit these 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 victims, these young girls, and they have been refused. They have been roughed up. They have been threatened by the police, and to the point where the case has been moved out of Tangshan to another district in the province to be investigated because it is said that the Tangshan police are so corrupt that you can't tell the difference between them and the local organized crime affiliates, gangsters, mobsters that are victimizing the local people in Tangshan. So I thought that was quite disgusting that they are actually trying to prohibit people that are concerned, journalists and others, from trying to find out the truth because I personally believe that those young ladies are unfortunately deceased because if they weren't, then they would already have shown evidence and signs that they were at least alive. But the kind of beating that they took for the amount of time that they did and the kind of medical attention that they probably didn't get when they needed it all contributed to their death. Now, you can spin this 1,000 different ways, but I just basically want to tell you, convey to you what the local people on social media are saying about this and the common sense evidence that leads toward the fact that although there have not been any official declaration that these young ladies died, I believe that they are already dead. And if in the future I'm wrong, then forgive me. But I have spent too much time around Chinese people and in China to know that, again, deception is a major tool that is used by people in this country. Also, because the regime probably is so ashamed they don't want to lose face, they're going to major extents to not only cover up but interfere with, slow down the investigation by independent journalists. And if you notice, there has not been one, maybe I'm wrong, but I haven't seen it on social media, one foreign journalist from any country that has gone to Tangshan to interview anybody. Now, maybe they've done it secretly for the safety of the people that are witnesses, but as you see, there's no journalist, foreign journalist that went down there to even do anything. Now, again, there have probably been some that have secretly gone down there, but they know what the situation is with a case as sensitive as this. So I don't want to go into the details of how each victim was assaulted. You could see it online. You can search it online. I'm not going to show any videos because I don't want any strikes against the channel. And basically, I'm not here to sensationalize this. I'm just here to let you know what's going on and to analyze it from a spiritual point of view. The Bible says in the last days, the love of many will wax cold. And this is an example of such apathy, such apathy. You have these men that were sitting there eating. You could see the video yourself. That, I mean, there were 9 of them, and yes, they probably had a reputation for violence and being protected by the local police and government. But for the love of humanity, man, you don't have sisters, you don't have mothers, you don't have aunts, you don't have wives. Yeah, I know what you're gonna say. Oh, you don't understand the situation. Oh, if you jump in the, yeah, I understand the situation. I understand the situation more than you can imagine. I'll tell you this: if it was a non-Chinese that did that, I can guarantee you, every single man, Chinese man in that restaurant would have stood up and tried to, and very much, very likely may have lynched the foreign individual that put their hands on a Chinese female like that or in similar fashion. So, again, the love of humanity is waxing colder and colder, not only in the world, not only in China, but in the world. I'm using China as an example because my channel basically specifically analyzes China from a spiritual point of view. And it begs to wonder, these men are eating and they see this happen to these young girls. Now, I can't say if I was there I would have done this, I would have done that. But I can tell you some stories about when I was in China and I had to intervene, and by the grace of God, I wasn't injured, and the victim safely got away. The female victim safely got away from the person that was trying to harm her. So I understand, and I've witnessed it. And any person that has spent any amount of time in China will be bound to see these things to the point where they almost become jaded. And that's what happens in China. This is a common occurrence, but with the uh, technology that is so readily available to to us, it is more easily recorded. So the technology, the AI technology that is implemented in China to monitor the Chinese people, it works as a two-edged sword even against the government itself, because it still takes them a while to erase evidence that they don't want people to know about in instances like this. But you have the internal security cameras of the barbecue restaurant, and you have several people that, because they are afraid to do something, they feel the only recourse that they can do is record it for evidence and then anonymously post it online. But I believe that a lot of this information has been posted, the recordings has been posted online, not only by citizens that were afraid or were witnesses, but by local honest ones, honest local law enforcement that saw this and were themselves disgusted. You can't say all of them are corrupt, but I will tell you that the majority is. And some of them are corrupt to the point where they have levels of corruption that they're willing to tolerate. So there may have been even an individual that was corrupt in one sense, but had some sense of humanity to 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 to, to not tolerate that kind of violence toward young defenseless females, and they saw no other recourse but to somehow post this information on Chinese social media and foreign secretly contact foreign journalists with the information. Now, one more thing that I want to say before I end this is, in a country like China, where you have a lot of strict controls on information, don't you notice why is it every single time something happens in China that is really horrible, the first thing that the local people do is try to get this information to foreign correspondents and journalists, mainly America and Europe? Why is that if they have so much trust and belief in their own system? Why is it that every time they are abused by their own government, they try to seek help from countries like America? I'll leave you with that thought. If you have any comments about the Tangshan BBQ restaurant murders, please leave them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe, excuse me. Please like and subscribe. Share this content, and may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. This is China Hand, and until next time.